Hey everyone, welcome to another episode here of the Cafe Podcast. Rob Balasabas. Got an awesome guest today. Old friend of mine. We go probably a couple years back now. I'm gonna bring him on screen here. If you're listening to the podcast, you're gonna meet him as well. Anton Schulke, right? Saying that right?
Yeah, correct.
There we go. We've been connected for quite a while now, I think, on LinkedIn, and we've chatted. We've done some things in your old role at SEMrush.
Yeah, you went on that huge
Yeah, yeah,
webinar, or mega webinar
yeah.
for YouTube. I remember
Yeah,
that.
yeah, with Luke Sharon, and yeah, some awesome people there. So, but first time we're collaborating on my channel. So thank you so much for your time. Would love to hear first what's with the new move, and tell us about the new move to Duda. And then I'm gonna pick your
Okay,
brain about remote working. So go ahead.
you can see Duda as my new employee and employer, and I just moved. I moved at the end of July, last week of July,
Yeah.
and before that I was almost five. Actually, LinkedIn show 4 years 9 months, but I think it's closer to 5 years anyway. With SEMrush. SEMrush, obviously, well,
Yeah.
hopefully most of the people know SEMrush. Nobody knows what Duda is, but you do know what Duda is,
Yeah,
do
yeah,
you?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I've come across Duda a number of times. Yeah, so it's a website builder for those of you that don't know. Check it out. Yeah, awesome platform. But yeah, you're at SEMrush for almost 5 years, according to LinkedIn. 4 years and 9 months. But you went from head of video content, to head of influencer marketing, which is my world here at TubeBuddy as well. Working with influencers, so very exciting. And then now at Duda as the same
And
role,
you're doing
similar
video
role
and you're doing video content as
as
well. You're
well.
doing
Yeah,
video content right now.
that's
It's
right.
why it's why they're really very much connected. Yeah, it's the same role. Less video content there, but
Hmm.
maybe will be more video. We'll see. But yeah, it's influencer marketing for Duda.
Influencer marketing, awesome,
Yeah.
awesome, cool. And you're based in Ukraine, yeah?
Yeah, I live in Ukraine and I work remotely for Duda. Duda has three major offices, two in the United States, one in Tel Aviv, Israel, and
Mm.
I'm neither. On
You're not there.
in them, I do it remotely. That the only good part with my time zone and Israeli time zone, which is the major office in terms of size.
Right,
Yeah, as the same time zone, it helps, obviously.
right. And SEMrush was, I believe, SEMrush's head office is in Boston, correct? When you were there.
Semrush headquarters in Boston, correct, but it's the smallest office they have.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, it's the newest and smallest office. Basically, it was more or less done for IPO, which happened
Mm.
spring
Yeah,
this year.
yeah.
But it's sea level is there, but basically no one else. It's a very
Nobody else.
small. I've never been there.
That's
Honestly, I'm not.
incredible.
I wasn't the sea level. Yeah, but obviously traveling for last couple of years is it's not easy. Yeah.
It's not easy. It's not easy. Yeah. So awesome. So clearly have been working remotely for almost several years now, basically. And we were chatting, and you started working remotely way back, like
Yeah,
2015
like
or something like that. Like
yeah,
you were,
like
yeah.
2015. Even in Ukraine, I was a remoter
Hmm.
because I was doing something they don't understand. What
Hmm.
this is okay? Can you work from home just because? Yeah, we don't want we don't want you here.
No
So
way.
yeah, even easier.
It's more productive. Yeah. Yeah. And you were saying you're the first remote employee at SEMrush. Yeah.
Okay, it's a slightly longer story. So when I joined SEMrush, I was end of 2016 and starting with 2017 officially. They they didn't have any remoters. Only remoters were the complete contractors who, for example, okay, you need a video, you need to edit video, for example, just to move my head, and you ask someone do it invoice and forget about this. So they didn't have anyone who worked full time but remote, which is kind of absolutely normal nowadays. So they asked me if I want to join them in St. Petersburg office, and historically it's probably still the biggest office of Submerge in St. Petersburg, Russia. So I spent there 3 months. and it was clear for me beforehand, but kind of I didn't want to move
Yeah.
there. So and I said, look, guys, it looks like I can do this job being remotely, and I can, I don't know, visit every quarter for a few days, something like that. They were against it, but for some reason, I managed to persuade them. I became the first full time. So when I said full time, because it's not like a remote content. Nowadays, it's understandable. Everyone's been remote, but at that time it was kind of strange because. But the good point was for me, easy point, that they already have several offices at that time. They already had office in Prague, Czech Republic. They already had an office in Cyprus. Everyone thinks it's offshore and everything. No, they have three developers team in Cyprus. Good weather, and they have historical office in Philadelphia. So still, when they do meetings, they couldn't just go into one room and do it. They still had to use Google Meet, not Zoom.
Not Zoom.
Never use Zoom.
Yeah, yeah. So there were some contractors, but you were the first full-time remote employee at SEMrush. That's awesome. So tell us, like, because over the years, what's the difference between working remotely then versus what's remote now? Because like right now, it's accepted and it's almost expected, and there's systems in
Right
place
now,
and there's tools. Yeah.
right now, it's absolutely normal, and people understand that. And it's just you probably work as you would work in the office.
Yeah.
When I started it, maybe it wasn't the case, but I inside feeling I thought I have to work double hours and be double quick to respond, for example, for Slack. Because when you're inside the office, everybody can see you. And people can say, okay, you go to coffee point, fine, or you go to, I don't know, to, to the bathroom, for example.
Yeah.
It's okay. But when people don't see it, and I feel it in my head, people don't see it. People might think if I'm not responding within 15 seconds in Slack, maybe I'm just smoking a line on my sofa, doing absolutely nothing. And this has really pushed me to be very very quick to respond and to work long hours. I mean, because as I said, we had an office in Russia and we had office in Philadelphia, and that's what 7 hours difference. So if someone from Philadelphia, for example, just Slack me, I feel really obligation to answer, even if it's really late. Now I don't. Because everyone went through the remote work and they understand how it works, and everybody kind of thinks fine. Maybe people thought the same way before, but I did in my head. I thought I really have to double work, double show off, or show result and everything, because they don't see me, as they might suspect that I'm not working.
Yeah, so I totally understand that. Like I totally feel that. I think when you start working remotely, initially you feel a little bit of guilt or like that extra pressure to show that you are present, you are doing things. But tell me what changed, or at what point that pressure came off your shoulders to do that. Was it a conversation? Was it like showing like, look at my productivity and my results, here's I've been doing work, what changed, what took off that pressure?
It, Coronavirus. Yeah, it's still no. Of course, I got used to it, but I still feel that maybe not that urgent when I just started, but I still feel this kind of pressure
Yeah.
on myself. As soon as coronavirus started, and as soon as everyone, SEMrush went completely remote. So all offices were closed at the beginning because it was. You remember how was it? So every office, and even they even had some kind of special preparation meetings and everything, explaining people how it will be. Yeah, I didn't care because I was there already, and for me it was very very easy. And after that, you start talking to people, and you understand they have this kind of feeling. They're not in the office. They have to show up more, but with coronavirus, as everyone is off the office, so kind of people. I think it got kind of to normal. So for me, yeah, I decided, yeah, everyone is remote now. So if I should, what should I do? Double. I probably still do kind of long hours, but this is me. It's not pressure. I just like to answer email as quickly as possible.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So coronavirus was sort of the equalizer. Like everybody's on the same level playing field now. You understand what it's like. I've been
Yeah,
doing this for years. Now you get it. Yeah.
yeah, and after that, okay, now it's kind of mixture. I understand it's mixture more or less everywhere. I saw mixture. So some people work in office, some people even be in the same city and everything, but still work from home because for some reason, and it's absolutely fine. And because everyone already done it for a few months, probably no one think if you're not in the office, it doesn't mean you don't work.
Right, right, exactly, exactly. So then that is now that's all level now. So tell me, like, what are still some of the things you wish could change for the remote work culture, or like, the expectation of this lifestyle? Like, there's so many benefits, right? Like, I don't think, like, you probably have not battled morning traffic in many many years, but what are some other things you wish you could change? Like, maybe, some things that you experience, like, oh, I wish this was different, or I wish people could understand this about the remote work
I
lifestyle.
think I think everyone understands about remote work now for reason we just went through. I still like to talk to people
Yeah,
live
yeah.
if it's possible.
Hmm.
So and I understand if company. Especially company which has a lot of remoters, do some kind of, I don't know, whatever you call it, team building exercise,
Yeah, yeah.
but bringing people, everyone or more or less everyone, people who work together in the same place, have a coffee, beer, whatever it
Yeah,
is, for
yeah.
a couple of days.
Hmm.
For a couple of days. Obviously, if a company has a lot of workers and all of them remote, which is not the case in Duda. Duda has remote workers, but still mainly they're in three offices.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know. What about your company? What about your company? It's
Yeah, we
completely
are.
remote.
Yeah, we're remote, but like you, mix. There's offices in LA, Utah, San Diego, London, Shanghai. So yeah, but
No.
but there's no ex. I think there's. I'm not there. There's lots of remote workers though. Like, I'm in Vancouver, and there is no office here, so I'm remote. There's no other option really. But if I was closer to an office, then yes, I would have the option to go back to the office, but no mandatory, I believe, at this time. But it is changing though, right? It is changing though, Anton. Like, a lot of people that are like are new candidates being interviewed and stuff. It's like a common request for in the negotiation for positions, like, I want to work remotely. I want to have the option, yeah, at least.
Yeah, but for example, if you go to LinkedIn, because I went through this at a certain point before I moved, you go to LinkedIn and you check remote. Very often they say remote USA, for example. Obviously, USA for what we do, this digital marketing and everything. This is a major market, of course. Of
Yeah.
course, English speaking major market, and a lot of company who would accept remote nowadays. They probably didn't a couple of years ago. They still looking for someone, for example, in the United States. I'm not really sure why, but I've seen it a lot. Smaller countries. When I say small, okay, United Kingdom is not a small country. It's
No.
a huge country, but just much smaller than the United States. You go to United Kingdom, and it's exactly the same. Exactly, most of them they want remote, but remote in the UK. Okay,
Right.
if it's not in the UK, but kind of closer, France, Spain will do. But if you from Hong Kong, probably they say no, it's different time zone or something like that. Maybe if you're Philippine, they will accept you because it's very cheap,
Right.
but it's a difference. So
It's a
yeah.
different story. Yeah, yeah. No, that's good. That's good. I think this is
It
a.
actually another thing, because I said cheap. It's very interesting how different companies, and it was a good article on Alida Solis remoters. A good article how remoters get paid, and I've done my non-professional, non-scientific research in Twitter, and basically how company pay you if you're remote. Some company pays you depends on where you stays. So
Mm,
kind of looking at how much do you need. So, for example, I live in Kiev, and Ukraine is a reasonable poor country and a reasonable low level of wages here around. And many companies, if I would remote work for them, they would offer me kind of double Ukrainian wages, which I wouldn't accept. For example, being that long in the industry. In other companies, they pay. As much they don't make difference. They don't make this. So, for example, Duda doesn't make a difference where they only look at your experience, what you can bring, and everything. So, yeah. And another thing is interesting is taxes, for example, because most of the remote workers, if you're not in a country, so for example, if I work for United States, if I work for Canadian company, you in Canada, I don't have a work permit for Canada, so I only can be contractor. Contractor means all tax burden is on me.
Yeah.
So a company just pay you this amount of money, and they're all fine. They take this money out of tax base, and they're fantastically fine compared with this local worker who they have to pay pension contribution, medical insurance, probably depends on and other taxes. So many companies, I talk to many companies in the US, particularly, probably in Canada, say many companies don't care. Okay, we don't care. It's your problem. But many companies add money for taxation. I don't want to pronounce name, but I talked to a big, huge agency in the United States, SEO agency, and they said every contractor we add that much amount of money for taxation. We just add, but it is kind of fair. I know life is not fair, but it's kind of fair because they save a lot of money. They don't pay all the taxes.
Yeah.
They don't pay anything. And if they kind of share it with you, let's say, okay, this is extra money. We agree for that much money, but this is extra money. We hope you will pay tax.
Wow, that's interesting. I've never heard of that. I have dealt with that myself because I'm in Canada, and when I first started, there was no Canadian entity for TubeBuddy. So I was hired as a contractor. I worked. I was welcomed as a team member and employee and stuff. But like the only difference was that you were technically a contractor. So I was that for a few months, and then eventually we had a Canadian entity, and I now am paid as an employee, and I have payroll.
And you got your pension for.
I have all of those things now. Yeah. So, but initially they just send you lump sum, and then I had to basically act like a self-employed. I would remit my own taxes and take care of it. No problem. I've done that before. But this is the first time I've heard that some companies in the will add on top. So let's say you're making 100,000, then Anton, they would add. Let's say your tax bracket is 40%. They would add maybe 20% to split the tax.
Yeah, this is the idea. Yeah,
that is impressive. I mean, I don't not believe that. I think that's definitely happening out there. It's a candidates market, I think, out there right now, right? There's a lot of companies that are looking, and the talent pool is very small.
It's exactly like that. I talked to another guys in SEO, and they say even 6 months in SEO, in this particular SEO, even 6 months ago, the salary were lower, and it was easy to find people. I don't know why it happened. Maybe market is going up, and more SEOs, and obviously PPC, social marketing, and other guys need it. So.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Well, very insightful conversation, Anton. I really love this conversation. I think we could talk about this all day because we share a lot of our similar background here and experience. But I want to respect your time. This has been a really awesome interview. We'll have to get you back on again for part 2. But before I do that, what's the best place to connect with you? I know you're very, very involved on LinkedIn, but what's the best place for listeners and viewers to connect with you?
LinkedIn, Facebook, or Twitter, all of them. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, well, I have all the links, and thanks again for watching and listening, and we'll see you all in the next episode. Take care.
Thanks for having me, and thanks, guys, for watching.